Bracha Mishpat. The rock refers to God. Tamin Paulo, all his deeds are whole, are need to be done. Kichol Drachav Mishpat, all his ways are just. And the Midrash goes to say, look, God had to show that he's fair. Lo hiniach HaKadosh Baruch Hu le'umos ha'olam pischon peh. He did things that the nations of the world in the end time wouldn't have what to say. Hey, if you would have given us prophets like Moshe, who straightened out the Jewish people, we would also share in this end time that greatness of the Jewish people and not be shoved away as we are. And this is in the end time when God lifts the Jewish people and builds a temple, and that they shouldn't complain, the nations of the world, and say, it's not fair. You gave them a person like Moshe who taught them, who straightened them out. If you would have given us a person like Moshe, we'd be straight too, and we would get this reward and this holy state of life. And so that's why it says, the Pasuk says, Hatur Tamim Palo. God's deeds are whole, and Kichol Drachav Mishpat, everything he does is Mishpat, correct. Lo hiniach HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God did not leave an opportunity le'umos ha'olam, to the nations of the world, pischon peh, that they should be able to have an opening of the mouth, la'osi lavo, when the time of Mashiach comes, and the Jewish people are now shining, and they have a base of Midrash, and they have tranquility, and they have godly knowledge, and the Ummah Soilam will be crying, they're not getting it, and it was not fair. So God gave them a prophet. So they shouldn't be able to cry that we didn't have a prophet. Okay? Then the Medrash goes on to say different things that God did for the Jews and he did for the non-Jews. Look, Kishem Shehamid Malachim Vechachamim Venevim Israel. Therefore, to be fair, and that they shouldn't be able to open their mouths and say, "You're not fair, God." Kishem Shehamid Malachim Vechachamim Venevim Israel. Just like God established kings, wise men, prophets for the Jews, established for the Goyim. Look, we'll show you 3 examples. The Midrash says, Hemit Shloimei Melech al Yisrael. God established Shlomo, HaMelech, Solomon, son of David. Melech al Yisrael, he was made a king over Israel. Baal Kol Haaretz, and he on the whole world, he was a superpower. So that's who he gave to the Jews to be a superpower. Doesn't say that David was a superpower. superpower. But Shlomo's son was a superpower. King David made it possible for him to become a superpower because he conquered all the enemies. But since he conquered them, he couldn't be the one to build the Beis Hamikdash because his hands were full of blood. There were people who were killed justifiably. They were in defense, and but nonetheless, David couldn't. God told him, "But your son that comes from you will build the temple, and the Mashiach will come from you." And so Shlomo Melech al Yisrael v'al kol haaretz. Shlomo Melech was their king over all of Israel and the whole world. V'chein asalu Nebuchadnezzar. Okay, be fair. The king Nebuchadnezzar, who was a superpower. What did Shlomo do? Zebon Beis Hamikdash. Shlomo HaMelech built the temple. The Omar Kamaranos B'Tachanurim. And he wrote holy scriptures. And he wrote Rananos, prayers, songs, and tachnunim, and supplications. And what did Nebuchadnezzar do? He destroyed the temple. And he didn't offer praise to God, but he was vechile figide. He cursed God and blasphemed God. The Omar Ele Albama say of, I will go up on the clouds. He's gonna, he himself is gonna be a god. Okay, so there goes your monarchies. A Jewish monarchy, a Jewish monarch who creates the Beis Hamikdash, which is the light of the world. And he writes, look, he wrote, Shema Melech wrote Shir Hashirim. He wrote Mishlei and Koheles, songs and entreaties to God. And what did the Goyish king do? He destroyed the Beis Hamikdash and killed people. And he blasphemed God. And he said he himself is going to become a god. Well, we know he had a miserable end, but here's an example of, hey, the Goyim would say, it's not fair, you made a Jewish superpower, you never made a Goyish superpower. Well, here's your Jewish superpower, ruled over the world, and here's your superpower of the nations of the world. Look at the difference. Next. Nasan and David Oisher. Hey, God gave wealth to David, King David. And what did he do with his wealth? He prepared all the material that was going to building the Beis Hamikdash. He didn't build it. His son who came after put it together and had it built. It took a number of years to build it, but he was in the planning of the Beis Hamikdash and the blueprints, and he brought with his wealth. He brought. It was expensive, the Beis Hamikdash, and what it had, and its walls and its curtains and its steps, and and the gems of that the Kohen Gadol wore. And so that's what he did with his wealth. Now, who did he give from the amongst the nations of the world wealth? You know him, Nasan Lahaman Osher. Gave tremendous wealth to Haman, the villain in the story of Purim. Nasan Lahaman Osher. Balak, what did he do with what was he gonna do with the money? Balak Uma Shlema L'Tevcham. He bought a nation, the whole Jews. He was out to kill the whole Jewish nation, genocide, just like Haman and a nation in October 17 and 24. That's named almost Haman, but it's named Hamas. Hamas. And they wanted to kill every Jew. And that's why, the nations of the world have to understand that they can't let them live. They say it now. They want to do it again and again and again. Jews can't live, and these are the greatest anti-Semites, and that's why Prime Minister of Israel is coming to talk in front of the a joint session of Congress on Tuesday and bring out Israel's case. Although nobody can in any way or should stand in the way of the Jews obliterating the Hamas. So David, what did he do with his money? He brought the materials and planned the Beis Hamikdash. What is the top minister in the and the he really ran the nation because Achashverosh was a fool and Haman was a sly. Right, he didn't have the title king, and he had to pass all his decrees by Achashverosh. The Gemara calls Achashverosh Melech Tipesh. Oh yeah, he was a fool. So Haman got his way in most cases until he invited Esther to the party and ticked off Achashverosh. And maybe there's something going on between them, and that's when he brought the book of records to be read before him. And in the book of records it says a Jew named Mordecai saved the king's life when he discovered that two ministers, Bigton and Teresh, were planning to poison the king. And one morning they put poison in his coffee or his wine. And he told Esther, tell the king, hey, there's a big security breach here. Two guys are traitors, and they're out to kill the king, and you better test his food in the morning. And it's supposed to happen tomorrow morning. And so they gave it to an animal to drink the coffee, and the animal died. And Bigton and Terrace became history. They got their just. But who saved the life of the king Ahasuerus? Mordecai. So, what did David do with his Osher, with his wealth? He prepared materials for the holiest house in the world, based on Midrash. Well, he didn't have to have somebody on par with David's wealth, and what did he do? He used it on bribing Ahasuerus. Ahasuerus was no pro-Semite either, and he said, "Take the money. I want it." But it was we know the story of Purim. We're not going to go over it here. That was a tremendous miracle because Hamas and Haman wanted every man, woman, and child of the Jews in all 127 provinces of the superpower Ahasuerus to be genocide. Uh, so, so we see the Midrash says, "Kol gedula shenatlu Yisrael," all the greatness that the Jews had, at Moshe shenatlu umoski yeshua. God arranged and let it happen that the Goyim should have just like the Jews. You know, Jews had world power, world power. Uh, the Goyim had world power, Nebuchadnezzar. The Jews, there was wealth. David,
I can't hear you, Rabbi.
Yeah, his microphone is off. I'm going to give him a call.
Okay.
Hello?
Rabbi Feller, we can't hear you. Your microphone is off.
Okay, yeah. Shiur, Ryan, you know my wait.
Must have hit it.
Yeah.
I can
Back
hear
up.
you now.
Can you hear
We
me
hear,
now?
yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay,
Now we
thanks,
can
Ryan.
hear you.
Okay. So anyway, uh so Midrash makes this statement. Kol Gedula Shenatlu Yisrael, every greatness that the Jews took at Moshe Shenatlu Ha'umos Kiyotzeba. The nations had great, that there should be fairness. Now here comes the third thing. We had superpower, wealth, and now the third thing, prophecy. Hamid, Hamid Moshe Yisrael. God established Moshe to be the prophet for Israel. Ubilam l'umas ha'olam. And Bilam was the prophet for the non-Jews. And what's the difference between the Jewish prophet, super prophet, and the Goyish super prophet? Nevi'e Yisrael Masirin Es Yisrael Mina Aberos. The Jewish prophets rebuke, teach the Jews not to sin. Masirin, they warn them about the Aberos. That's what the Jewish prophets do. Try to keep them away from Tumah, from Averos. And the Navi Shamad Minagoyim, the Navi that God established for the non-Jews, set up a Navi, says, Come Israel Kamosha Oid. No prophet stood up like Moshe. There was never a prophet in Israel. Moshe was head and shoulders above every prophet, and that's in the Ali Mami that we have to know that God gives prophecy to man, and God talks to man, but the one he talked to most, and the Abul Being was Moshe. Okay? But the Jews, he didn't give a prophet, only one like Moshe. But to the Goyim he gave, and who was he? Bill. Well, Bill, uh, Nevi'e Yisroel Mashinin as Yisrael Mino Aberos. The Jewish prophets warn the Jews not to sin, not to be frivolous, not to be lewd. Shenema Va'atem Yecheskel, he brings one pasuk. Va'atem Atem Bnei Adam Sefer Nosaticha, and you, Jewish people, I've given you a tzofer, a seer, who will do his best to make you proper. And Benavi Shava Mina Goyim. And what is a Navi? Who was on par with Moshe? Navi Shava Mina Goyim. Having pizza. He gave. Balak. He couldn't get the Jews with prophecy. He saw that God didn't let him. So if you have a brain in your head, your anti-Semitism should cease. You see that you can't curse them. God doesn't let you. But he still hates the Jews, and he gives a idea, advice to Balak. Balak, before that, Balak tells him, get the H out of here. I brought you to curse them, and you bless them. Out. He says, wait a minute, I just want to tell you something. There's a way you can get them. You can get them killed. Their God hates hanky-panky. He hates vice. And get your daughters out to entice the Jewish males to sin with them. And there's a whole story of how they did that. And they will sin with them. And that's how you can get them. And that brought about a plague from God. And 24,000 Jewish males were killed. And I saw in a commentary that heaven forbid if Chaf Hay, number 25, would have been killed 1,000 more, it would be tragic for the whole Jewish people. This was tragic enough that they lost 24,000. But if the efforts of Pinchas stopped the plague by killing a leader of the Jewish progressive liberals who wanted to sin with the Midianite girls. And even the Midianite princess, Cosby Bastur, who was the king, went out and she wanted to get Moshe, but that she settled on the head of the tribe of Shimon. And there was a very sad period, and they came before Moshe and they told him, can I live with this woman? He says, and Moshe says, no, she's not Jewish. And they said, well, how come you're living with a woman that wasn't Jewish? And that was before Matan Torah. Then he converted her. This didn't happen with Cosby Batsur. And they fornicated right in front of Moshe. And in a closed tent. But Pinchas went into the tent and killed both of them during their fornication. And that stopped the plague. And And who gave them the idea that that's how he could get the Jews? He couldn't get them by trying to curse them. God didn't let. So you might ask the question, so why did God let them fornicate with the Midianite women? Couldn't God stop that? And the simple answer is that, look, God will save you from all the plots of the enemies, and however, this is a world of choice, and you have the choice of doing God's will or not doing God's will, and that God is not going to take away your choice. And if you choose to fornicate, then there's the punishment for fornication. And unfortunately, they chose. It's very hard to really reconcile this. How God, this whole parsha of Balak, Bilam cursing the Jews from every point, and it giving them the biggest blessings. And the parsha ends with this terrible catastrophe for the Jewish people. Where was God? Just like people say, where was God? This it's not the same answer that I'm going to give, but we don't know what the cause of the Holocaust was. And just as an interesting thing, by their perishing in the plague, they will be remade. They will have Tchias HaMesim. It says we didn't get to it in last week's Parsha, or 2 weeks ago's Parsha of the Korach. He died a terrible death, Korach, and all his people. And there were 14,700 who perished in that plague. But the Midrash said they'll all come back. They will all, when God brings Mashiach, and he'll make Tchias HaMesim, Korach and his people will live again. They got their lesson, and they will live again. And I believe that applies also for the 24,000 who perished in the plague. Kol Yisrael yesh lehem chelek lo olam haba. All the Jews have a portion of in the world to come. And it also says, Chasidei umas ha'olam, the righteous of the nations of the world, yesh lehem chelek lo olam haba. They have a portion of the world to come. And so even these wicked ones, it says only Chassidim So'ilam, the ones who keep the 7 mitzvahs from Noah, it says Chassidim, the righteous ones of the non-Jews, and there are righteous ones of the non-Jews who are just as righteous as the Jews, and they will have a portion of the world to come. But it doesn't say that all non-Jews will have a portion in the world to come. But by Jews it says, Kol Yisrael Yesam Chelek Le'olam Haba. All Israel has a portion in the world to come. I haven't finished this portion yet that we're learning about. Just again, it was told you to these people who died in the plague, the 24,000, will have a portion in the world to come. And this was their punishment. And it says for Beirut, certain misos and zukapahason, that they died, that's their atonement, and they will live again in the world again. That's very important. Remember when we learned that God created the world with the letter Beis, Bereshis. So of course there's a number of reasons why God created the world with the letter Beis. Remember, one reason right away is Beis is a letter for bracha, blessing, and Aleph is order, cursing. And God wanted to with a letter that stands for bracha, for blessing. But another answer that's given is that simultaneously with this world, God created another world. And for we don't understand it's injustices, tragedy that happen in this world. But immediately in the next world, these people are remade by the same ones who made them in the beginning. But God's on top of it. And all those people who were killed on October 7th will live again. Just like all those killed in the Holocaust will live again. And that's a matter of faith. But Jews believe in Chiyasa Basi. It's not a fairy tale. Anyway, he goes on to say over here, but so he wanted to show the difference between the Jewish prophets. What the Jewish prophets do for their people, they warned them against sin. And the Goyish prophet, the head one, Bilam, promoted the people doing sin. You want to get the Jews? Get them to fornicate with the non-Jewish women and the daughters of Midian. And you'll see. And God doesn't like that. So God will bring a plague on that. That's the one thing that God hates is fornication. And that brought a plague again, that 24,000 were killed. That's because that's something they chose to do. If they could be cursed or not be cursed, that was not in their hands. To fornicate or not fornicate, that was in their hands. They could have not done that. Another thing you want to see about Jewish prophets, it says, "V'lo oid, ela shekol hanaviim hayu b'midas rachamim al Yisrael v'al umas olam." All the Jewish prophets were compassionate, prophesied and prayed for mercy for the Jews and the non-Jews. All the prophets were in the midah, the measurement, the characteristic of rachamim. They were dominated by the characteristic of mercy and compassion al Yisrael v'al umas olam, on the Jews and on the non-Jews. Yechezkel prophesied Ben Adam Sha'al Tzor. He prayed that for the nation of Tzor there should be mercy. And I skipped Shekain Yirmiyahu Omer Libi Lamoya B'chalolim. My heart is for the Moabites. They Shekain Yirmiyahu Omer Libi Lamoya B'chalolim. My heart is for the Moabites who were killed. Moabite will express sorrow. And Rabbi Cheskel ben Adam saw out Sirkinecha. Have mercy. Cheskel said, Bezeh? But Bilam? I'm sorry. Jewish prophets were compassionate. But Bilam, I'm sorry, he was cruel. Omad la'aker uma shalema chinam alo davar. He wanted to eradicate a whole people for nothing. Alo davar, they didn't do anything to him, they didn't do anything to anybody. He came out of Egypt and he said, Am Yatzam Mitzrayim, that's what Balak said. They decimated two of the nations that we hired to guard us. And so he got very scared. And that's how he sent for Bilam. Bilam was he was ready to eradicate the whole Jewish people for nothing. They did nothing to him, but just like the scum now, life means nothing to them. It's what they want, and he wanted to eradicate the Jews from the river to the sea. And I mean, it's nothing new. And just like God saved us then, He will save us now. We just don't have to be taken in by any plots to sin. And okay, Nichta Parshas Bilam. This Parsha Aleph in the Midrash ends with these words: Lekach Nichta Parshas Bilam. For this reason, the Parsha of Bilam, the Sedra of Bilam, the story of Bilam, Lahodia Lama Silek HaKadosh Baruch Hu Ruach HaKodesh. Why did God take away Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, to be able to see in things, the Holy Spirit, to give them that power? The Umasoilam, God took it away after Bilam distorted it. שזה עמד מהם וראה מה עשה. This, that God allowed for the Ruach HaKodesh to be attained by the Umasoilam, the nations of the world, because look what the one who came out of them, the biggest one was Bilam. What did he do with that Ruach HaKodesh? And that's why God took it away from them. But the Jewish Nevi'im, and it brings Moshe and Yirmiyahu and Yecheskel. They had compassion for the non-Jewish world, and they their whole thing was developing knowledge of God, and these people, what do they do with their knowledge of God? Kill Jews. And you see that they claim to be religious, and when they kill Jews, and God forbid, they scream Allah Akbar. God is great. What? They have no idea what. And God will avenge all those that were slaughtered by the enemy, and all those close to 700 Jewish boys that were killed in this war. We don't understand, but we do know they're not over. Their life is not over. They are now Kedoshim. And however they lived their life before, but because they were killed for one reason, that they were Jewish, they will have the greatest bliss in the world to come. They are called Kedoshim, holy ones, martyrs. And that's all those who died because they were Jewish. That on the Holocaust, 6 million died because they were Jewish. There's things that we see in the story of Bilam that I know that God, the end of the first Parsha, Bilam says, I can't do anything. He lets them know I can't do anything without God agreeing to it. So you're asking me to come with you. I don't know if I can come with you or not. So I asked God, and hey, he could invoke God's presence and ask God. And he asked God, and God says, "Lo say looking Mohem, don't curse them, kibaruchu, because they are blessed." That's how the parsha ends. So there, God says, "Don't go with them," but he thinks that, hey, he's got a big ego. Maybe it's God doesn't like the fact that they just sent such low-ranking emissaries to come and bring me back to Balak. And maybe he has to have their important ranking ministers to come, and take me back. So we find that the second time he tells them I have to get permission from God, and God tells them if they hear it because they want to take you back for your benefit, you go with them. But only what I tell you can you say. For your benefit, meaning, listen, you want to earn a buck through them. I'm not going to stop you. God told him specifically the first time, don't go with them. And now he thinks that God changes his mind. I have to look into the Portion more on this, because, hey, I'm very taken that God comes to people and God talks to him, you know? Uh, and he has a dialogue with a guy with a lowlife like Bilam. So always God is a being, and God can dialogue with humans. He has that power. God is infinitely higher than humans, but he can talk. And God wants the attention of humans, the love. I mean, of Israel, he asks, "V'ahavta Hashem Elokecha." You should love God, your God. And again, it's a very important value that God is with you. You're never alone. He's with everybody else. That's what he says. You can understand God's existence. He's there. He's here with you now. He's hearing you listen, and he gives me the power to speak. And he's doing that to millions of others. That's God. We can know his existence. We can't know his essence. But in his existence, that is very important. That what you say when you mention God's name, what are you supposed to think? Baruch atah Hashem. What do you think, Hashem? Borei olam uman higo. Creator. But every time you say Hashem, you're supposed to think, well, what does that mean? Borei olam, who creates the world. Umanhigo, and directs the world. God's in touch with the world. He is in touch with everything else in creation and pre-creation. That's God. We don't begin to grasp the greatness of God. We're supposed to grow in our awe of God every day and think about God. When we close our eyes for the last time after 120 years, we're in for a big surprise about the awesomeness of God. And that's why you have to learn psukim. And you say your own pasuk to remember who you are. Everybody has his own pasuk. And when somebody leaves this world, a chassid, you tell him, ask for the Rebbe. Why? Because there are different levels of judges. In the next world, here's a review of your life, and who are the judges? So there are the judges uh, who were on this world a long time ago, and they don't know what the what the evils of the world in our time and the sins, the attractions that cause people to sin in our time. They're not aware of such a thing. And how could you sin? How could you go opposite God? There's a good. You don't want those to be your judges. You want there are tzaddiks who in the world now, and it's tzaddiks like the Rebbe, who was in this world and knows all the enticements and he overcame all of them. But he knows what it was and he will be the most lenient judge. So people tell somebody who passes away, if they're Chassidim or not Chassidim, we tell they should go to the Rebbe, say the Rebbe's name. His pasuk. The Rebbe's, you say, just like you say your own pasuk, you say the Rebbe's pasuk. Mo'ori Naim Samach Lev. That's, you say the letters Nach Mendel, Shmuel Tovet is actually not some, and Nach and Mendel. Matova, huh?
Are you done?
What time is it?
8:30.
8:30. Okay.
No, it's
Okay, we'll close.
8:15.
Okay. Anyway, so the person has the choice to go and they go to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe will, especially if a person knows the Rebbe, but it doesn't make a difference. Anyone, the Rebbe was the Rebbe for all of Israel. And but this is again the question I'm asking is that this Parsha opened with such a tremendous guarding of by God of Klal Yisrael doesn't let him Bilam get in a bad word against Jews, and it ends up by allowing for Bilam to give bad advice to the leaders of the Jews, and the Jews are taking, the all ways of how they were induced, seduced by the Midian girls and fornicated, and 24,000 Jews lost their life. Last week in Korach's plague, 14,700, beside the 250 of those who died with the fire pan that was not taken by God. Only Aaron survived. And these were all heads of the people. But how could that be? There's so much what did I say? Love of God for the Jewish people in the whole first part of not letting him and all the prophecies he says what's going to be the end. And Balak sends him away. You did nothing for me. I brought you to curse and you blessed. I mean, he said, I told you to begin with, I can't say anything else. God won't let him. So, but why did God let him give that terrible advice? Say, Elokeim Shalela Sayyidina who their God hates fornication. And the only reason I can come to is that, hey, God will protect you from the threats for the designs of the anti-Semites on you. God will protect you. But when you are enticed to do any kind of sin, if it's monetarily, if it's in a trait, if it's in any area of the Torah, that's your choice. This is the world of choice. And so the name of the game is to live that where your choices are governed by the Torah. There are 248 dues, and these dues are privileges. And the don'ts are also privileges in that you, in not doing them, you satisfy the Creator. When a Jew doesn't speak negative of another Jew, when he has the desire to do so, and maybe the other one deserves to be spoken negative about, but you're not supposed to anyway, only in a court. But you can't talk about other people, and you don't, because God said, don't. You got a big mitzvah. When you're in Thai, you like to eat something that's crepe, or even questionably crepe. It might be kosher, but you don't eat it because you're in doubt if it's kosher or not. God has the greatest pleasure from that. And God knows, because He made you. A person has to know that God is on top of me, and he has to think, a Jew has to constantly think, Bishvili Nivra Ha'olam. The world was created for me. You're important. You're here on this world. That's God's announcement that you count. Nobody's extra. And therefore, it's very important. And if you don't learn it. Learn Torah, say Torah. The Torah is God's message to you. And learn it, and Jew and non-Jew. This is God's wisdom, and when you follow Torah because God said so, it happens. It's called a nachas ruach leponai, a pleasing of the Spirit for me. God says that I said, and my will was done. Nachas ruach leponai she'amarti b'nasas ritzoni, and my will was done. And that's something that something that you learn from Bilam, an interesting thing that Bilam was told by God not to go, and yet so they went away from him, the first messengers. But he had this feeling that if more important messengers came, God would let him go. God told him, don't curse the Jews. They are blessed. And the Gemara learns out here, hey, in this world, bederech she'adam roitzu leile, molishno. So, the place you want to go, you got to, God let you go. We help you go there, even though you know very well that you shouldn't go there. That's why we learned here about David, the King David, when he wanted to go places, but his feet always took him to the base of Midrash. His feet automatically took him to the base of Midrash and the base of Knesset. That, a person should spend his time as much as he can learning Torah, praying, saying Tehillim, doing favor and kindness to sick people, to broken people, and well people as well. So think that there is a program tonight in Adaf Israel, and hopefully I am not feeling well this week. Maybe had COVID, but anyway, I feel better. And I had a very interesting experience yesterday. They had to have blood taken from me. So you reach it after you go to the place where they take blood. They have technicians, and this technician, she looked at my hand, and she found the spot. Look, I still didn't take off the bandage. She says, "These veins are crying out that they're the ones I should choose," and she chose them. And I hardly felt it at all. It was done in I never had such an easy situation of blood being taken from me. Now I'm trying to learn out from that. Well, what is God teaching me here? And she says, your veins are jumping out to me, that these are the ones that I should take the blood from. And she took them, not poked me from different places and where to take it. No nurse ever said such a thing. Your veins are jumping out at me, and take the blood, 1, 2, 3, bye-bye. Oh, did I compliment her?
Yeah, she's very skilled.
Very able, a black lady, and very able, and I give them all. I try to make everybody when I'm in a hospital. I speak to everybody on the way. I mean, God bless you. Have a good day. People want to hear that. People want to hear positive things, and if you say that, you make them feel a little better, a little better. You say, "God bless you." People you don't know. Anyway, I think that we will culminate. Again, this is a very important day, and it's the day that the previous Rebbe was freed from Soviet imprisonment. On the day he was born, and people say your birthday has the power of bringing about good things happening to you. So if it's your birthday or not your birthday, let me wish you all that good things should happen.
Amen.
And should have a very good Shabbos.
Amen.
Study this portion of Balak from your own Chumash. And it's a very, what should I say, the blessings, what he says, and all that. Even just learning Rashi is a big plus. But if you have other Meforshim, that's also good. And God willing, we'll see each other next week.
Thank you for the learning, Rabbi. Thank you for the class.
Thank you for have a very good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos, brother.
Also,